for the Growth Org, is also joining us from Australia.
Hey everyone, it's already Tuesday.
And I just want to lead off by thanking Bartek, Eric, Jeremy, and Luca for their efforts to incubate this growth team. Bartek's had to hire a ton of people. Eric was interim director of growth for a good while. Jeremy was the interim PM on growth for a while. Luca's been the interim PM on telemetry in addition to her day job on fulfillment. All these folks have put in a ton of extra time to stand up this team, and those of us that are joining now are benefiting from the groundwork they laid. So thank you to them. Sid has the first question.
Yeah, because somebody walked me to that managed stage dashboard, I guess Periscope Graph, and then talk about what we see. I think .com database means it's not the usage ping, it's not Snowplow, but it's the collected directly from Postgres. But it'd be great to get some explanation.
Is Jeremy there? Jeremy is the main consumer for this one, or Tim Hay, if you've spent any time on this yet. I can give you the genesis for it. For each stage, we want to have a dashboard which helps the PM and also the adoption growth PM, who's Tim Hay, get a sense for usage within a stage. And so this was built among the requirements. If you scroll to the right, there's an issue in there which describes how Jeremy envisioned usage being pictured on a Periscope dashboard. My understanding is this is built off of .com data and then visualized using Periscope. I have not spent a bunch of time going through this dashboard myself, so if anyone else wants to weigh in, please do so.
Yeah, or we can just skip.
Yeah, that's fine too. At the highest level, it's kind of our first view into what a stage monthly active user dashboard would look like for a specific stage of our product, and it's very much in its infancy. We're continuing to build on it.
Okay. Sid, can you talk us through Jensen's scratchbook? Is Jensen out there?
Yes, I am here. And Sid, so just so you know, a lot of this data will also be in the growth data meeting on Friday. So if we wanted to go over it in more depth, we could do it there. But I'm happy to just go over like what exactly this dashboard or this data is looking at, and then we can decide. So let's just start with the second graph on that dashboard, .com month-over-month MRR growth.
Consider sharing your screen so people can follow along.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you got it. Okay, so I'm looking at this .com month-over-month MRR growth, and basically what I'm trying to do is discover on .com how well are we performing in each product category. I think we've been looking at it by MRR, which is great, and we can see that view here. We can see a trend line of gold growth increasing over time and silver decreasing. Again, this is month-over-month growth, so this is like growth from one month to the next. Same thing with bronze, the MRR growth is decreasing. If you look at accounts, I think this is the most interesting thing on this dashboard. If you look at accounts, you can see gold growth by account month-over-month decreasing. But the MRR is increasing. So to me, that tells us that we're doing a really good job of introducing those gold users to the value that GitLab creates, and those users are attaching to that value at high numbers. So we're kind of attracting less in terms of the number of customers, but the number of customers that we are attracting to that package are super high value customers. They're finding a lot of value in the product. But we're not doing the same thing with silver and bronze, right? As those MRR growth trend lines decrease, the growth in the number of customers is also decreasing. Let me try to highlight that. So this would be the bronze trend line here. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but this is the best you can do with Periscope. So the bronze trend line is decreasing at a lower rate, but that's normal because gold customers, there aren't as many gold customers. So you might see that growth trend line decrease a little bit faster. And just one last item that kind of gets at the heart of what this dashboard is really trying to say. You can see this is year over year MRR growth for total customers, and we're doing super well. I mean, this MRR growth is amazing. But if you just look at it, excuse me, if you just look at it, so we're going to remember this number 489. If you just look at it by bronze, we can see that number is significantly less in terms of MRR growth. So again, like what this is telling me is .com, I think in my perception should be kind of a bastion for these lower dollar packages. Those companies that are not super attracted to like the security of self-hosted. And so they're going to this cloud option. And we should be seeing a lot more of those lower dollar packages, a lot more of those lower dollar companies and in .com. In my estimation, this is a hypothesis of mine. I haven't proven this out yet exactly, but and what we're seeing is that those customers are not attaching and finding value at the same rate as gold. So we're doing a really amazing job at those higher dollar packages of extracting value for those customers, but not at these lower dollar packages.
Thank you, Jensen. Sid, questions on 2 or 3?
Yeah, I think it's a lot to digest, so we'll go into it later. Maybe a bit of a specific question, but why do we use MRR instead of ARR? I think we bill yearly, so our revenue recurs annually, in my view.
Yes, that was one of the first questions that I asked, but all of our other, so this was really, I started out by just wanting to look at the numbers that I would want to see for the growth data meeting. All of those previous numbers were broken out by MRR. So I just continued with that trend, thinking that that's kind of what the company wanted. But it's just ARR divided by 12.
Can we stop that trend and do the proper thing? There's a conscious choice for us to bill annually, and I think that should be reflected in all the data we have. You are speaking my language there, yes.
I think there were some data blockers to doing so, but I think it's a great point. All right. Next one's around billing and licensing. Sid, do you want to voice over?
Yeah, we have a very expensive platform for billing called Zora. And now I see that we're considering using Stripe. I was wondering why and what, maybe get a bit more context there.
Yeah, I think the related issue, but I'll pass over to Luca.
Cool. Can people hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, so we wanted to look into a couple of other options that might provide a better checkout and billing experience. So Stripe offers a really cool feature, which is an embedded checkout. So we wanted to look at things like that to see if it could help maybe expedite some of the larger initiatives we've got to get to in fulfillment. Like the payment and purchase process right now is not anywhere near industry standard, and we have a lot of work to do. So we already use Stripe for credit card payments. so that it's just a case of adding on a little bit of extra functionality. And I think it's from our conversations so far, some of the stuff that we've actually been looking at would already be included in what we're already paying for. So it wouldn't cost us much more, if anything, more than what we're currently on. But I can't confirm that just yet. We're still in very early conversations with them.
Okay, and the Zora, I saw the Zora portal solution is highlighted there. What is that lacking?
Yeah, so we, as far as I'm aware, we're having some conversations around like what is the best tool going forward for subscription management, whether or not that is Zero or Stripe or whatever else. We actually have a call later today to get some further clarity around that. The other tool that we looked at was something called Keylight, which is I think it's a little spin-off consulting company that that the folks used to consult for Zero specifically, but they're very immature in comparison to Stripe from what I've seen. They're a good little company, good little tool, but their API isn't finished yet. They don't have things like an embedded checkout. There's a couple of other features that we're missing. So we're still looking at different tools.
Cool, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Other questions? All right. Thank
Actually,
you all.
Scott, I got a quick question.
Yeah. Hey, John.
In terms of version ping, can we talk a little bit about what's replacing version ping?
My understanding is nothing's replacing it at this time. We are updating it to get better data from it so that we can have stage monthly active user data off of on-prem that looks like what we're able to get on .com. And so the first phase is to bolster the usage ping to give us what we need in the short term. I think in the medium to long term, there's a potential project to move to leverage Snowplow to collect and harvest on-prem data. Perhaps Luca or Bartek could weigh in a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so look, I'll jump in. We have 3 areas of telemetry that we're focusing on. Usage ping, which, as Scott said, we're providing stage monthly active users, and I'll add a link to that issue in the document. Also Snowplow, which is early days, starting to give us more useful telemetry, and then Pendo, which we're starting an implementation of, which will accelerate some of the data that we can collect. To answer your specific question, there's no goal at the moment to replace usage ping, and some of these other tools also have different characteristics, different capabilities, different ways of getting us that data.
And maybe disambiguate a bit. There's no version ping. There's version check and usage ping. They're different things.
I was assuming this was usage ping. Is that correct, John?
Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes, it's usage ping.
yeah, so that makes sense. But I think we have 4 ways we will collect data. So I think we need to, at least from the growth team, we need to make sure that we're sure about what.
Yeah, because during the sales QBRs last week, the sales usage of the usage ping data is critical to finding servers out there that aren't licensed at certain companies and using that to drive sales further. And I know there's problems with the server version.gitlab.com. It's not reliable. We don't always get the right data. So we're just curious in the sales department, at least, as to what the future for the usage ping data and the version.gitlab.com server is.
Yep, I understood. I mean, usage ping provides value to a lot of different teams, and there's no requirement for us or goal for us right now to deprecate that in any way.
Is there plans to improve I know there's plans to improve the usage ping data. Is there plans to make the version.gitlab.com work more reliably?
I'm I'm going to hop in for a second. Thanks, Bartek. So I think, John, you and I have spoken a little bit about this separately, and I've spoken to Patrick a little bit too. But so from my perspective, we have an issue open, which I'll drop in here in a minute, that we're looking at. Nothing is confirmed yet, nothing is set in stone, but we're looking at, we already have Snowplow set up to start collecting certain types of data, like page views, page bings, link clicks, etc. So we're looking at researching how we might replicate the kind of functionality that we get from usage ping. And if that's, as we're discussing it, if we find out if that's fairly straightforward to do, then it might make more sense to start trying to get the data that we get from usage ping and use Snowplow to do it. So that's where we're currently at with Snowplow, just to provide a little bit of extra context on that. There are some issues open. There's actually an epic around some of the improvements we could make to usage ping and the version server. But at the moment, we haven't prioritized that because we're still looking at what we don't want to kind of duplicate work and effort, basically. Like if we can do the work faster and more efficiently with Snowplow, we might do that. But if it turns out that the result of that conversation ends up being this is going to take months and months to do, like we don't have the time to do it, then we'll shift our efforts and focus on improving the performance on the version server. Does that help?
It does, yes, thank you.
Cool.
Hey, Luca, if you do that, will you collect the Snowplow data locally and then aggregate it and send it off? Or will we receive the unaggregated data? Because that seems like something that wouldn't be acceptable to a lot of our users.
I don't have an answer to that question yet because we're still early days discussing it. I don't fully know how we would go about doing that with the Snowplow collector.
Thanks.
All right, Christopher, number 7.
Yeah, thanks. I was just looking at the challenges page on slide 9, and it basically has a bunch of challenges listed, and I'm just trying to get a feel for, are these just give it time, or is it, we need some help there, or, what we're doing about it?
Yeah, happy to voice over each bullet. The first one, we've got a ton of new people here. What we're doing to help bring everyone together, we're going to do what we call a fast boot. We're actually going to get people together for the better part of a week in September. This is a new way of working. This team's going to be driving experiments, and we've been doing a lot of A/B testing. It's just a different mindset. How do you set an experiment up? How do you know whether it worked or not? There's a lot of methodology behind it that we don't have established elsewhere. So it gives us a chance to define how we're going to work and practice a bit in person. I think that'll help a ton, get this team on the same page. On the second bullet around data collection and privacy, this is a hot topic. There's an issue open. We're getting input from compliance, legal, security. We need to, and we're going to discuss at this week's e-group meeting to come up with, hopefully make a decision on our posture around this kind of data. And, for example, should it be opt-in, opt-out, et cetera. So hopefully we'll have guidance soon on that. On telemetry and data collection, we just talked about that. On billing and licensing, we talked about that. On the pajamas one, perhaps Bartek has better status on that than I do.
Sure. So the version, the customer portal that we use is behind in basically our front-end technology. So we want to get that up into being a best-of-breed system, using the pajama design system, getting it up to being a fully functional Vue.js application. It's one of the earliest touch points we have with our customers. So we want to really focus on the UX.
Do we have an issue open on that we can track?
I'll defer to Jackie Bao for that one, but not that I'm aware of at this stage.
We have a call today, I think actually right after this, so there will be an issue created that I can add to this later on.
Yeah, it'd be great for us to be able to just follow along.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Other questions?
a bit more of an observation, but I think it's interesting. Like our salespeople are using version.gitlab.com and they want more functionality out of it. And we're talking about doing experiments. So I think although we're going to do experiments too, like if our salespeople are using something and they need that better, that might be a good iteration to focus on first.
Yeah, I should clarify the experimentation stuff will be heavy in the 4 growth metric subteams: adoption, retention, activation, and upsell / conversion. We're working on the name on that one. I think telemetry and fulfillment will probably operate more like traditional teams would. So sorry for that, if that was confusing.
No, yeah. And maybe I've worded that a bit strongly, but like we're implementing all kinds of new things, even though the things we already have are being used. It's just, look, I've tried version.gitlab.com. It times out the whole time. And there seems to be a focus on new ways of collecting, which is great. I want that too. But like, let's make sure that the stuff that people are actually using is working.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you all for your time. Have a great day.